Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about sensors, but not the sensors that you know and I know. Sensors that I've worked with for over the years, and fascinating really. The sensors that you know, the touch, the smell, all of those, hearing, seeing, those sensors are the sensors of the spacesuit, right? The spacesuit has buttons that has sensors. And sometimes those sensors work and sometimes they don't, depending on the balance of the spacesuit, depending on how you've maintained that spacesuit. Sometimes there's a reason that goes beyond the taking care of the spacesuit, but that could be that you were born with one of the sensors not working, thus the rest of the sensors kick in and they become more powerful. So let's just say that you were born without sight or you lost your sight. What happens is the sense of hearing becomes heightened. So when you understand that, you'll understand that there is also sensors in the frequency of the spacesuit that nobody really knows, because we're not really shown that. But as a psychic, I hate that word, as somebody who steps into the world of not chasing the tail, and somebody who steps into the world of seeing beyond the beyond and feeling, and all of those sensors that are connected to the same sensors but in a different frequency, a different energetic frequency. So let me say that there is a smell that you can attune to, which is not the smell of this world. So you can smell the frequency of, I'll give you for example, there's been many times I've been into a room and I've smelled a certain odor, a certain smoke or a certain perfume, and I'll say to my client when they say, is this room of good energy, I'll say, I can smell lavender, and they'll start crying and say, oh, my mum used to wear lavender, and no, there's no lavender in here. And I'll say, well, I can smell it very strongly. And then I'd say there's a presence of a woman or a man in here, or if somebody was sat next to me as I was doing an intuitive reading, a spiritual reading, I'll say, oh, I can smell like a cigar, and they'll start crying and say, oh, my dad used to smoke cigars all the time. And so that's one spiritual sense, the senses of attuning to your higher intuition. The other sense is, again, connected to the same senses of what we have in the spacesuit, and that's seeing, but we see beyond the beyond. So we end up looking at energy around people, we end up seeing spirit, we end up seeing things that, did I really just see that? And hang on a minute, there's a little girl next to you. There's no girl next to you, Mark. There's no girl next to me, Mark. I say, yeah, there's a girl. She's got red hair. She's about 17. And she's holding this doll, which looks like a rag doll. And the rag doll looks like it's got black pony. She'll start crying and say, my God, my daughter died when she was 6, and the rag doll you're talking about is what she used to hold all the time, and we buried her with this rag doll. So that's another seeing. So it's another sense of you that if you attune to, you can see. Touch is another one where if you work on an energetic frequency around a client, you can feel an energetic field around them. And you can actually do the same thing, and you can practice on crystals, and all of a sudden you can say, wow, that feels like almost like a magnet's force when two magnets are repelling against each other. Or, oh, it feels tingly, or it feels different. Or, wow, why am I feeling different feelings? Okay, because your senses on a spiritual level is your feeling. Your senses are feeling. There's many a times that I've heard a voice, and you'll say to me, sat with me, I didn't hear anything. And I'll say, well, I heard them say these words, or your father's in the spirit world, or your grandmother's in the spirit world, and she's telling me this. I can't hear anything. Well, this is what I'm hearing. So that's another sense. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're not really taught one of the most important things about the gift that we all hold, beyond the seven senses that we believe as the science says that this is who we are. We're actually far more than that. And when I say to you this, and I mean it with my hand on my heart, I'm only touching, I'm just touching the conversation here. It goes so deep that you realize that the senses that we have are probably endless. So I'm just like, you're probably watching this thing, Matt, there's a lot more than what you're just saying. And I'm saying, you know, it's hard for me to sort of go into colours. Like you think there's what you see in colours is this. There's a lot more colours. There's a lot more things happening. There's a lot more senses that you can attune to if you start walking a path of balance, health, well-being, clearing fear, clearing worry, clearing negativity, clearing jealousy, clearing anger, clearing all of those heavy, dense energies. And then you start to look after your body, exercise well, go into Mother Earth, ground yourself, start to balance. Once you start to balance and you become the tree, a funny thing is, right, people laughed at me for many, many years, laughed. And I got used to that. I got used to it well before that. I was laughed at for lots of things I did. But after a healing session, and it would be like maybe 3 or 5 or 7, I would walk from the shop and I'd walk all the way on the end of this road, go around the roundabout and walk, you know, round there and, you know, wave and see many people and then stand by a tree. And this tree was, for some reason, a tree where I'd sit. No idea why, but I'd sit there. And I might sit there for 5 minutes, I might sit there for 10 minutes, and I'd be pondering, or things would be happening. And then when I'd finished, I'd get up and go. Didn't know why, but I wrote in my book a story of Inga rung and said to me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm actually exhausted." She said, "Why?" I said, "I've had a really busy day. It's been quite heavy." And she'd say, "Well, my dear, you need a tree." I said, "What do you mean you need a tree?" She'd say, "You need a tree. Do you not know that the shamans, when they agree to become a healer, they agree to work with a tree, so they have a connection with a tree, and they both agree that the tree says, 'I will heal you as you heal others.' So the tree becomes your healer and you become the healer. So that's how the shamanic world works." And I'm going, "I'm on a tree. I'm sat on a tree." And she says, "Well, my dear, you're doing it." There's a lot more to it than that, because there's also the ocean. And the ocean, I've often said to you guys, is the most powerful vacuum cleaner for our negativity. So it absorbs it. But also, so is the sand. Because if you hold a grain of sand in your hand, or a few grains, and put them under a microscope, you'll see that they're crystals. They're actually crystals. Sand is crystals. And that's where the argument comes in, that when you blow sand, is glass just glass? When in actual fact, they're crystals. So glass is still crystals. So when you think, "Oh, I bought a fake," it's still crystals. It comes from sand, and sand is crystals. So anyway, so yeah, the sand, you're walking on crystals, and the grass, the ground that you walk on, has frequency, and that frequency is your frequency. So when you walk on concrete, your frequency is no longer that frequency. So you're just immersed in your own bubble of energetic frequency. So it's very difficult if you live on the top floor of a flat to feel energetic frequency of balance. It's difficult. That's why you need to get down them stairs, take your shoes and socks off and put them on Mother Earth, or lie down on Mother Earth. By doing this on a daily basis, you'll find that Mother Earth has this gift of mothering you. And like a mother and a child, if a child is feeling upset and sad, the child feels a lot better when the child runs over to mother, and mother naturally heals that child of pain and suffering of being bullied or hurt or tripped or fallen, one moment that connection of love and healing takes place, the child is stronger, energized, and off again. So we're all natural healers, but so is Mother Earth. Now, you're never going to hear this from science. You're never going to hear it from the medical industry. You're never going to hear it from pharmaceutical industry. You're never going to hear it from schooling system. You're never, ever going to hear it from the system. And the reason why is because all of that is free. Well, that doesn't serve darkness, because darkness wants to take, whereas Mother Earth gives. So everything that Mother Earth gives you is giving you and feeding you like your mother would do, in a loving way. Anyway, sorry, I'm slipped off the topic, but I think what I'm trying to say is that there are certain things that can help. So by going into Mother Nature, when you find your balance, you'll start hearing more, feeling more, seeing more, and all of that more is the next level of your senses becoming heightened. And I'd love for you to heighten your senses, whether it's one or whether it's, just a glimpse, a moment of, oh my God, did I really feel or see or hear that? Yeah, you did. And you can. And it's again, silly little things like doing things which don't cost anything, which is sat down in Mother Nature or sat listening to some gentle, beautiful frequency that heightens your frequency, like music. And I've got it on this site. You just go type in Mark Bajerski healing music, and it's free, and you just press it and listen to it and close your eyes. And these are the things that heighten your senses. Love, happiness, joy, heighten your senses, because the more you're in the frequency of high vibration, the more you're able to feel and hear things. The spacesuit becomes stronger. Thus, the spacesuit then allows more frequencies in. But if the car's knackered, then it's not going to really go very well, and it's going to struggle just to get to A to B. But if the car's running really well, if it's got really strong oil in there, if it's really got all the parts running correctly, then you're going to get the most out of that. So treat your body like, not just a spacesuit, but treat it like the most important thing in this life of yours, because it's only here for a short while. Your spirit lives on forever. And all of those senses that I talk about, all of those hundreds of thousands of senses that you have, spiritually speaking, are incredible, and they're there to be given. I think one thing I want to leave you on today, and I don't want to make this too long because I've got a lot of work to do, but let me tell you this. Don't ever look for something. Allow it to come into you. Don't look for it. Just be. And if it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It comes at the right moment. But if you force yourself to wanting to hear or feel or see or touch or smell, then you've got it wrong. It should be a natural process, and it should just happen at the right given moment. And there can be many reasons why it doesn't happen. But the whole point is, like I always say, I've got this on the wall just to always jog my memory. Happiness is not a destination. So you could say that spirituality is not a destination, it's a way of life. Health is not a destination, it's a way of life. You could say any word at the top instead of happiness, and the rest of it makes sense. So we exercise, we eat well, we look after our body, we stay away from negativity, we try and strengthen, we try and create, we try and love, we try and share, we try and care, we try and heal, we try and make a difference. All of these things heighten your energy to a new frequency, and thus you just saw something or felt something. Right, well, that's normal. What's not normal is outside there. That's not normal, but in here it's normal. And all of those senses are normal. They just stopped you from knowing about them, and they called it crazy, or they stuck a tablet in you and stuck you in a mental institution. That's how they do it, guys. You're not mental. You're not crazy. You've just got amazing senses, and the world doesn't want you to know about them. I do. Okay guys, I hope this channel, I keep saying it, I hope this channel stays, but if it doesn't, then please subscribe to Mark Bajerski Crystal's channel. Then you'll always be able to get me there, because I'm on strike 2. I'm on strike 2. I'm ready. No curveball. If it goes, then you'll always be able to catch me on that Bajerski Crystals channel because I've got no strikes on there. Sad, but that's the way it is. We fight and we box clever. Have a beautiful day. Take care, guys.